This is the story of who the Israeli is now. Before October 7th, 2023, the average Israeli lived a life fundamentally oriented toward the future. We were busy building careers, raising families, traveling the world, and engaging deeply with global culture. We celebrated holidays, we packed concert venues, and we worried about the mundane details of modern life: traffic, school pickups, planning the next vacation. Israel was a vibrant, complex, and highly advanced country. We were proud of our technological innovation and our contribution to global culture. We won Eurovision, we hosted international conferences, and we were counting down the days until global pop stars, like Bruno Mars, were scheduled to perform on our soil. The concerns of the day were often political debates, economic policy, and how to maintain this hard-won normalcy. The national narrative was focused on resilience, yes, but also on integrating into the world, moving beyond the traumas of the past, and embracing a sophisticated modern identity. We were, in many ways, an ordinary nation aspiring to lead an ordinary life in an extraordinary region. Then came October 7th. The change was instantaneous and devastating. It was not a distant war, but a barbaric invasion of normal life. On a quiet Saturday morning, the security perimeter shattered, and a terrifying reality broke into homes, kibbutzim, and music festivals. The shock was multi-layered. First, the immediate, visceral horror, the sheer brutality of the coordinated attack. We saw the true meaning of the term massacre brought to life. It involved the cold-blooded murder of children, the torture and sexual assault of women, the execution of entire families in their homes, and the systematic kidnapping of infants, the elderly, soldiers, and civilians. This was not a conventional military engagement. This was medieval terror enacted with modern tools against people living their daily lives, running for cover, hiding in safe rooms, or simply sleeping in their beds. We saw videos shot by the perpetrators themselves, broadcast to the world, showcasing unimaginable depravity. The second layer of shock was the realization that our entire concept of security and the psychological barrier between civil society and raw evil had collapsed. The metaphor often referenced as Black Mirror, the idea that a terrifying, unthinkable dystopian scenario could shatter our reality overnight. We realized that people living just minutes from our towns, neighbors in a geographic sense, harbored an ambition not just to defeat us, but to eradicate us in the most cruel, humiliating way possible. The Israeli now carries this wound. We are a people perpetually holding our breath, focused on the immediate threat. Normalcy has become a fragile facade over a deep, traumatic crack. Every conversation is framed by the hostages still held captive and the relentless necessity of defensive action. We are forced to understand that the existential threat is not theoretical. It is visceral. We have been hurled back to a primal fight for survival. But the shift goes deeper than the front lines. The third shockwave came from the global response. Israelis watched in disbelief as, almost immediately after the massacre, portions of the world seemed to minimize the atrocities, justify the perpetrators, or equate the victims with the terrorists. This has triggered a profound historical trauma. The modern Israeli identity, while rooted in Jewish history, tried hard to move past the age of pogroms and persecution. We built a state to ensure we could define ourselves and defend ourselves. Yet, in the aftermath of the worst mass killing of Jews since the Holocaust, we saw people in Western capitals celebrating the violence and condemning the victims based purely on their identity. This realization is perhaps the most painful part of the new Israeli identity, the understanding that, despite all our modernity and progress, the ancient hatreds have resurfaced with alarming speed. We are being judged, often viciously, not based on our actions, but simply because we are Jews in our sovereign land. The world has not offered the promised safety or clarity. Instead, it has often added to the isolation. So, who is the Israeli now? The Israeli now is someone who has lost a fundamental innocence about the world. We are profoundly wounded and exhausted, yet relentlessly focused. We are defined by the unwavering commitment to retrieving the kidnapped and ensuring that the capacity to inflict such horror is neutralized. We are a society defined by shared trauma, resilience born of necessity, and a painful understanding that in moments of true darkness, we stand alone. We are a people fighting not for territory or political gain, but for the basic right to exist, and to protect our children from a form of violence that civil society should never have to confront. The identity of the Israeli now is the identity of one who knows they must defend themselves, determined to survive, and rebuild on the ashes of what was lost.